look, I'm just going to say, the culture here at Oklahoma right now is all centered on us playing our standard and us playing our brand of football. We try and go out there and have the right mental intensity, right effort, right approach to it, attention to detail, and discipline to do our jobs. And I think, looking back at this last game we played in, there's a lot of opportunity and room for growth and maturity. A lot of lessons that we can learn from, and we will learn from it. So I think the biggest thing as we continue to go on and move forward is keeping the main thing, and attacking every day and improving every day.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from SoonerScoop.com. Now, here's the entire SoonerScoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, we are back. We're just making the main thing. The main thing is OU Texas gets ready to roll. And we are here with the entire crew, Josh McCuistion, Eddie Radosevich, Bob Przbillo, myself, Kerry Murdoch. So welcome. It is the OU Texas edition of the Unofficial 40, back again after the Eskridge Lexus postgame, which I know you just heard. But, hey, it's OU Texas. And by the way, don't ever complain about too many podcasts in a week. Don't ever say you shouldn't have done one. You should have just done one. No, you get as many podcasts as we give you.
It's just kind of like, goddamn, give it a rest.
Don't complain about free stuff. It's free. Take it. Anyway, that's my soapbox to start it off. Welcome, Josh McCuistion. Good to have you back with us. He was Mommy and Mead out of our post-game podcast, so welcome, Josh.
It's good to be here. I will say on the intro, I didn't hear Jalen's comments like you all did, so I was like, who is this? And then I heard the main thing. I'm like, okay, it's Jalen. Got it. It took that long to figure that all out.
A Jalen Hurts press conference is not it's not poetry in motion.
I would 100% disagree. I think it's a lot of fun. It has become the most uncomfortably awkward. I take pride in some of the questions that I've asked before to Baker or Kyler, trying to make it awkward.
Right, uh-huh.
I don't think I can make it. I can't make it any more awkward. I bask in the awkwardness of a Barry Trammell to Jalen Hurts exchange.
Do you want to hear some awkwardness? I've got it loaded up.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
Here's what I love about a Jalen Hurts press conference is people try to follow up just like, are you sure that's all you want to say? Like, would you like to elaborate for us a little bit? And he just comes over the top and he's like, F you, I said what I said, and I'm going to say it again. You're not getting anything else out of me. That's exactly what happened here. I think it was John Hoover, and I think Ryan Aber starts off this exchange.
Hard at all to treat this one, the Iron Bowl, games like that, the same than, any other game?
You got to eliminate all external factors and go out there and focus on what you need to do and execute.
How hard is it to do that, though? So much emotion on games, and you put so much preparation into games and things like that. How hard is it to just say, okay, next one?
You got to go out there and eliminate all external factors, try and execute and do your job.
You tell the guys that as well, that your teammates and stuff, you tell them this is how we do it.
Yes, sir.
And that's all I'm going to give you. I gave you my answer. That's my answer. You're not going to get a different answer out of it.
And don't ask a yes or no question to Jalen, because he'll just say yes or no.
He's efficient.
I did like the idea that it's like, I forgot who was asking, but they're kind of digging on not digging, I guess, but asking him about his recruitment by Tom Herman at Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, or even Texas for that matter, but Charlie Strong. It's like, yeah, he went to Alabama. Why would he ever even think about going to those other schools at the time?
Okay.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I like this from Eric Bailey yesterday. Hurts' opening statement was 120 words. The next 11 questions, 135.
I don't think I can ever remember a player giving an opening statement during the season.
Yeah.
After a win.
Unless it's Baker Mayfield talking about grabbing his dick on the sideline.
Or Joe Mixon.
Yeah. Or
having his first press conference.
Oh, that was uncomfortable for different reasons than this is funny uncomfortable.
That was we've been through hell for 2 years, and you're finally talking to us uncomfortable. Joe Mixon.
The least he could have done is brought us a couple Pickleman's pizzas.
All right, so
although they would have been a little cold because it was in Miami, but
so OU Texas,
maybe Postmates.
We're pretty much done with media. Any takeaways? Let's start with you, Bob, since everyone says I always talk over you and come over the top. I'll give you the floor, Bob Prisbillo.
I mean, you can see how hard OU is trying to not say anything.
And the trash talk,
stupid.
I'm coming over top.
Yeah.
Trash talk has been key.
He just can't stop. He can't
I
stop.
can't help myself.
He can't help himself.
The trash talk has been coming, just flying in from Austin.
And, man, people are trying to get Ronnie Perkins, and then Eddie finally got Ronnie Perkins.
Here it is. That's how dialed in I am for OU Texas.
How many times were you tagged on Twitter today for Sam Cosme's comments?
A few times, I don't really pay attention to the trash talk. He could catch me at 11 a.m. in Dallas, with the rest of the Texas football team.
Cash me outside.
You're very lucky that I didn't put. I thought about putting that in at the very end.
Cash me outside.
Cash me outside. How about that?
I guess it's outside.
I don't know, Josh. Do you think that there's been more? I feel like there's been more dialogue coming out of Austin than in recent years, or maybe I've just paid attention to it more.
I don't know that I've noticed anything that glaring outside of what Cosme said yesterday.
Sure, there hasn't been anything like real inflammatory by any means.
But that was the thing about that quote that struck me is he twice like kind of walked up to the edge and then pulled back from it, and then he was like, "No, I'm going for it. They're not that good." Like I mean, like he said it like, "Oh yeah, we respect them. They're good players, but they're nothing we're worried about." Like if you would have just stopped one sentence ahead, you'd have been fine. And then you had to go and do that, and I'm like, and honestly, I was like, and I like Samuel Cosme. I think he's one of the better young tackles probably in the country. I think he's a really good player. As I'm going over the Texas LSU game, he shows some good stuff. But at the same time, you look at the numbers, Texas's offensive line hasn't been anything that needs to be talking trash to anybody. I mean, they're like I said, they are the second worst run, yards per play on the ground in the Big 12 right now. I mean, that's saying something in a league that doesn't run the ball all that well. And, so like I said, I thought that was surprising. They've allowed the third most sacks in the league. I don't know, especially with Ronnie Perkins coming off a really good performance against Kansas. I don't know that I'd go pissing those guys off.
By the way, I'm afraid that Lane Johnson's 40 time might be in trouble by Sam Cosme at the Combine after seeing that West Virginia play.
Nice play.
That dude can move. Now, playing offensive tackle has nothing to do with how fast you can run.
I think Orlando Brown's proved that.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not like you look at that and go, oh, shit, he's in trouble. But no, this is a Texas offense. Like you said, Josh, like you would think that even with Ellinger back there, I know they have running back issues, but you would think that they would run the ball better than they have this year. And they just haven't.
I mean, they really haven't. And I mean, and you think of some of the biggest yardage they're getting, and not unlike Oklahoma in this way, is off broken plays. Ellinger dropping back and passing, he folds. I mean, they're getting some yardage cheap. When I'm watching them against LSU, who obviously is LSU, they've got plenty of talent in their front seven as well, but they aren't just lining up and able to run at will on LSU or even anything close to it. I mean, it feels like I'm watching a team that is just running to set up the pass. They're just so that that LSU has to be aware of it.
And that's why, to me, it feels a little peculiar. I did their red zone offensive stats. They're 16 of 18. All 16 are touchdowns. So even though it doesn't feel like they're dominant, when they get inside the 20, somehow that group is getting the job done.
Except against LSU. But I don't understand, because they did the same. Didn't they not get in against OSU too? Or didn't they do something stupid against OSU early in that game?
Well, that would be their two. They've missed two. They're 16 of 18.
I know
but there were two against LSU. They threw.
No, the two against LSU. Yeah, they had the drop.
So I don't think they did it against OSU because they had the drop.
Maybe
like
it was
you said,
just going
Josh,
for it and they didn't get it, but it wasn't in the red zone.
I really can't remember.
There was something weird that happened.
Freezing out the dicker.
Carey, I remember something. Like, there was something weird early in that, and it kind of kept OSU in that game early on.
Yeah,
when Texas
early in that game, you're like,
momentum.
can Tom Herman actually coach? Like, that was – I actually got retweeted by Jeff Ketchum because I just tweeted out, are we sure that Tom Herman can coach? And he retweeted that, and Eddie's sitting here like, how does a ghost retweet?
That's just real strange to me. I thought we were going to have a moment of silence, too.
Oh.
We had that last week.
I didn't participate in that one. I want to participate
Eddie
in
was
this
waiting
one.
for Josh. Do you
We
not
had that
remember?
last podcast, yeah.
I think we should have a moment of silence.
Josh is...
All right, we did it.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. It was everything that I thought it was.
Of course, I talked over the moment of silence.
Pod later today.
I miss him.
Can we talk at all about anything?
I don't think that
regarding you?
I don't think that I didn't sign anything. I don't have like a gag order. I talked about it this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
All right.
So Eddie Radosevich.
Floor is yours.
What's happening this weekend?
Let Eddie run it.
I'll be on game day on Saturday. I spent some time with Gene Wojciechowski yesterday. Is it Wojciechowski or Wojciechowski?
It's Wojciechowski.
Wojciechowski.
Let me see on the book here.
I thought it was Wojciechowski.
Here, you have a weird
Well,
last name.
It's spelled differently. And he said it to me yesterday. I think it's Wojciechowski. Wojciechowski.
Yeah, because there's a CHOW.
Were you too focused on the performance?
Yes, and I gave a brilliant performance yesterday. Horns Up for Peace is going national. I don't know what time it's going to be on Saturday, but
this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to be on game day. It's going to be pretty cool. Pretty excited about it.
This is truly amazing. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I've never said that, I don't think, to another member of the Scoop staff, but I'm legitimately proud of you.
I'm pretty excited for how it's going to. I'm interested because we did a bunch of filming yesterday, and I thought that was pretty cool. Just being followed around by a camera crew, being mic'd up,
and you were kicked out of any official facility.
Yeah, they said I couldn't be interviewed in the
sense.
OU facility, which I get. I'm not mad about it by any means. I thought it was pretty funny, to be honest. But I can't have press conferences at OU anymore either. That was also told me last week. But we will still have press conferences in the future.
Can you
just not
do
on
like
campus.
in the North Oval?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I went to
okay.
school there. I can do anything on campus. I'm
Except at the
celebrated on
football
campus.
facility.
No more stadium club.
Yeah, just
stuff.
not. No, I can do it inside the stadium. I just can't have a press conference where they have OU's press
The
conferences.
stadium club. Yeah.
Yes, I thought you meant the stadium. But yeah,
you
it's.
put this on Instagram. I mean, it's not like you're broadcasting it to
Well,
the
I
world.
put it on Twitter. I mean, it's not like a.
What about
small
like
collection of
what
people.
about like just your stand-ups outside? the
I think that's
stadium
fine.
club
I
because
think that's
everybody
fine.
does those.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, if Dean Blevins can do one. I can
Carey-
do one. I'm reaching more people.
Carey, when we came together and started to, kind of build this site, did you think that someday we'd have one of our guys, and we were proud of him, that he had not only been kicked out of an Oklahoma facility, but has been told he cannot hold press conferences on campus anymore?
Well, I can hold press conferences on campus. It
Getting
just can't be
twisted.
in the stadium club.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
sure,
I think
sure,
is still
sure.
subject to be debated. We'll test the waters
Do you
at
want
some
me to
point.
reach out to our lawyer? Because we actually have a lawyer, and I'm not talking like
Yeah,
a fake.
freedom of press.
I'm not
freedom
talking
of
about like fake, like relative. Like we literally have a media specialist lawyer that we use. He's expensive.
You had Eddie being asked yesterday if he took acting classes. That's how dominant
it was
a performance
it was
he
an
gives.
outstanding performance.
I
and
cannot wait to
It was
see
pretty
this
flattering too, just as far as we've talked about it before. Texas kicked a field goal at the OSU 6-yard line. By the way, I've been looking that up.
Okay.
I think that's one of their red zone.
So 16
Non-touchdowns.
touchdowns.
If it's 16 of 18,
That's what the official stats say. 16 of 18.
Well, the official stats are bullshit
that's
because they've obviously kicked a field goal.
those are stats people for you.
Texas
What
liars.
was I saying? Oh, it was kind of like the podcast thing too for us. Is we travel or wherever we go, it's always cool like for people to come up and say like,
Yes,
you know,
it is.
like we
Like
listen.
that always
or,
happens in airport lines.
Yeah,
Like, people
absolutely.
come up and like, hey, I listened to your podcast today.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I always am flattered by that. But yesterday I felt very, flattered again. I was thinking of another word, but I couldn't really think of one. There was a lot of people that, while we were filming, that were yelling "Horns Up for Peace" and yelling my name and stuff like that, and it made me feel good. It made me think, you know what, I'm not going to kill myself this week. It's probably going to be next week.
And to think this was all started with Natties for Patty.
I know. So it was, I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Those bastards wouldn't give you $40,000.
I wouldn't taken it. I don't do handouts.
Are you totally off the Natty train now?
I mean, during softball season, we might kick it back together, spin the wheels again, but no.
Would you like to thank Will Greer?
I'm on to bigger and better things.
Would you like to thank Will Greer?
Yeah, Will Greer definitely helped this the Horns Up for Peace movement. That's for sure.
Are you willing? Can we give you a title like the state of Oklahoma's biggest influencer?
Well, I don't think you need to give that to me. I think I am.
He earned it.
Like, is there anyone that's a bigger social media influencer in the state of Oklahoma than Eddie Radosevich?
Because
we don't
know.
Really
there
have
might be some like porn stars or something from Moore out there that might be.
I don't think they're porn stars. I was going to say her name, but
she's an OU fan, right?
Yeah,
Jessie Jane or whatever.
Yeah,
Jessie Jane.
She's always she got arrested last year at a game, so that's pretty
right.
cool.
She's related to a friend of mine.
How related? Like an Eskimo brother or something else?
no Eskimo brothers.
Well,
like,
her former
like distant cousin or something.
Her former husband, the one that put the for sale sign in Katie's yard, used to be a pretty prominent scooper, or at least a very active scooper.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Trojan Sooner. It's something like, I don't want to say his name, but it was. Josh knows who I'm talking about.
Yep. And he was director. I mean, he had some roles in some of that.
Cool.
Hey, no shame.
So, yeah, I don't know of anyone else that's a bigger social media influencer than you.
Yeah, receiving $0.0 out of it, so it's really been worth my while.
We'll work on that, okay? We're actively working on that.
I think I've missed the boat. I should have been selling shirts and hats and condoms for the last 2 years.
It's hard to do what we do and run a side hustle.
I know.
You wouldn't be where you were if you were concentrating on T-shirts and hats all the time.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
This would be a hell of a week to just break out some Horns Up for Peace.
I know.
Merchandise.
I thought about it last week and it's just too late.
Tomorrow we can if they win, we'll go all out.
See, I was almost thinking this is kind of
this would be the crest.
This is the
for people
this is
to
the
wear
peak.
it. Yeah,
this is probably it. So we'll have to find something new.
Although, I mean, there's a good chance they could repeat in the Big 12 championship.
That's why they can't talk smack. They'll see each other again.
We will definitely.
Does that take anything out of this game?
Gear up for the Big 12 championship.
Like I kind of thought that earlier this week, but it's at the same time, it's like, oh, you can't lose.
It doesn't take anything out of this game because neither team can afford to lose. Like.
But OU will not play for a national title if they lose on Saturday.
No,
whoever loses won't.
Right,
sure.
Texas has a chance; they can get back in the race.
Right.
Yeah, with one loss to LSU.
As long as LSU is in the SEC championship, Texas's one loss can sustain that one loss. Now,
or at the very least, is respectable. They can't.
Right.
If they go 10-2, that's not going to hurt Texas. That's going to be okay.
Sure.
So OU lose this; they don't have the non-conference this year to help them.
Thanks, Chip Kelly.
I mean, even a loss to LSU would be better than what OU. I mean, like that's the thing. Texas's non-conference loss is better than all of OU's wins in terms of the eyes of the playoff committee.
Yep. And it's funny though. There is the De'Aaron King thing almost helps Oklahoma because there becomes this narrative of, well, they played him with King, so what they did afterwards, it's a totally different team, and it doesn't relate to what OU had to face. When the fact was, Houston just wasn't very good this year.
Well, we know they went 1-3. We know the olds that are on that committee won't think like that, or will think like that though, and they won't realize.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, it is a must. Everything's a must-win for Oklahoma this year. They have to be undefeated.
Well, especially when you look around the country. I mean, Ohio State's probably going undefeated.
They're taking a spot. Yeah, Clemson's
definitely
taking a spot.
going undefeated. Alabama or Georgia's getting one of those spots. I mean, those are all it's the fourth that's the question. And I mean, like I said, I only say it's a question because Oklahoma's got to get through Saturday. Anybody else, they're a 12-point favorite at least.
Notre Dame could sneak in if their loss is only at Georgia by like less than 7 points too.
And Georgia ends up winning the
wasn't
SEC
it?
or something.
4 or 5.
Yeah,
I mean, they were
I mean-
driving. They had to score a touchdown. I remember. The thing that I guess we can talk about here is the interesting thing is there a scenario that an undefeated Oklahoma would be left out? I say that there's 100% no chance. But
you would have to have two one-loss SEC teams.
Correct.
And
it would be the one-loss SEC beating the
Yes.
undefeated in the
Right.
SEC championship,
Right.
which, it would be an
Then
interesting
everyone's screwed.
conversation.
Yeah.
Now, if OU didn't have the OU on the helmet, I think that an undefeated Big 12 team could be left out, but it won't be Oklahoma.
Yep.
We all kind of agree with
yeah,
that?
Baylor's not getting in that situation.
Right. TCU's not getting in, or whoever, OSU, or whoever it may be.
Almost regardless, if Oklahoma or Texas are undefeated, they're going to the playoffs.
Sure.
I mean, that's going to happen almost every year. Anybody else in the conference, I agree. It's nowhere near a sure thing.
100%.
I got it, Carey. You know this annoyed me, so I had to look it up.
Yes.
It was 4th and 3 at the OSU 28 when Rashawn Johnson was stopped, so they weren't in the red zone.
Okay.
Well done. I knew there was something.
Yep.
Kerry was right. Yeah, there was something. But
It annoyed me, so I just had to
of
keep looking.
Of course, Bob, Kerry and I are like, yeah, something happened. Of course, Bob actually brings the fact. Like he looks it up while we were talking about it.
Moving on.
So for Oklahoma,
Was that against LSU?
OSU.
OSU. Yeah.
They had a 4th and 3 at the
That
28.
wasn't a red zone. It didn't
wasn't
count as a red zone
in the
opportunity.
red zone. They didn't have a field goal against OSU. They had five touchdowns.
So you're calling me a goddamn liar is what you're calling me. I was just looking at this. How did I miss that up?
I have a question about the GD thing. Everybody's up in arms about that.
No, there's nobody.
as Catholics.
There's one person.
Can God not forgive GDs? Like when you go to confessional?
I don't know. I don't really care. 1st and goal at OSU 3. Cameron Dicker kick attempt good.
That's an extra point.
Well, why do they call it a kick attempt? It's an extra point attempt. That's stupid. Right?
I agree, yeah.
It's OSU's website, so.
Okay,
I got
back to OU Texas. I know everybody on the board, the thing they want to know, Lincoln Riley earlier this week says that Adrian Ealy and Eric Swinson are a long way away from playing. I was told, and we'd been hearing since last weekend, that Adrian Ealy is likely to return for Texas. I'm going to find out more, but I asked someone today, and they said it's not a given that Ealy returns.
And Beatenbow is officially in the mode of I'm not answering those questions
Which
anymore.
I thought that was telling. Like when he said, ask Lincoln, like that to me
He's
says...
usually said guys are going to be fine. Like Marquise Hasty said that he'd be okay. Remember
Right.
that?
Yep.
I would go on top of that and say I don't think he's practiced Monday or Tuesday.
I think you're right. I'm going to say...
in fact, I would say
right.
I'm 100% positive on that.
That both of them probably haven't practiced.
I don't think there's
Swinson
any...
not at all,
Swinson's done for a while. I think that's probably
That we
fair.
know for sure, yeah.
It is, I don't know if worrisome's the right word, Josh, but I thought it was startling the way that Bill Beatenbow said last night. I'll be honest, guys. Tyrese Robinson's played tackle for 10 days. I mean, the tackle situation is not good right now. How do you think that affects things moving forward just as far as this weekend?
That's what baffles me. I mean, it's like there was no preparation for this being a possibility. I mean, neither R.J. Proctor is a career guard that's been slid out to tackle because he has to be. You've got no backup for Adrian Ealy other than another guard to slide out there, which we know. I mean, don't get me wrong. The way Oklahoma does things, there is some interchangeability there, but at the same time, those are usually very different type of athletes. I mean, just as a perfect example, look at EJ and Doma Ogar and look at Stacey Wilkins. Like, those are very different athletes. And I'm just surprised that there hasn't been anything else looked at or tried, because it's clear David Swaby and Finley Felix are not in the cards. Those are not guys to fix this problem. So at some point, do you say, we're going to give Stacey Wilkins a little run here and just see what happens, see how this goes. I realize I'm not there every day at practice. I don't see what's happening, but I can tell you that R.J. Proctor is going to need help with guys like Joseph Osai. Like, he's not going to handle that guy on the edge by himself.
He's good.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Now, watching the LSU game, they did some things formationally to kind of slide him out. It kind of in the same way we used to talk about Devontae Bond, where he was so good near the line of scrimmage, but people would formate, or they'd put their formation out, and it would force him wide, and he wasn't nearly as effective in Oklahoma's defense. Well, LSU did some of that same stuff, so you can scheme that in, but there's still plays where he's blitzing off the corner and that kind of thing, and all you're doing in that situation, yeah, he's got farther to go, but he also has a full head of steam. So, like I said, I think they can live with Proctor. On the right side, it's not just about Robinson isn't, as good as Ealy, because he's not, but it also weakens your interior, where I feel like Hayes, Humphrey, and Robinson, that's a really good inside that was developing into a good group, but now you've kind of broken that all up, and it's choppy, and I thought Bray Walker had some good moments at Kansas, but yeah, there's no question that to me, if there's a way Oklahoma loses this game, it comes back to those tackles being a problem.
Josh, I can tell you Stacey Wilkins is not at the acting backup left tackle right now. I can tell you who is, and you're not going to like it.
I don't think I will.
R.J. Proctor, left tackle. Who's the guy after him?
Me?
How you looking then?
Oh, shit. You pretty good.
Obviously.
Was the thing?
I would
if that's the first time that reporter's asked another guy if he's looking good.
Yeah, it was a little erotic. I thought it was kind of like a Joey from Friends. How you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I could make some other comments that would get us in trouble right now.
Look, I don't want the text messages. All right,
hateful.
Just forward them to me.
He doesn't have your number. He has mine.
No, he's saying when you get
just
them,
forward it.
Forward
them to me, and I'll respond.
I don't think that's a good idea.
There has to be some kind of. Never mind.
But I mean, when you move Bray Walker and Daryl Simpson
go off or
from tackle to guard, that eliminated your redshirt guys. I'm going to power through this. That eliminates your redshirt guys that could have been backup tackles because now they're at guard. So, I mean, and they don't feel Stacey Wilkins is ready just yet, but he has played the last 4 games, so I think they're grooming him to get ready so that if something were to happen
and he's
in November, he might be ready.
He's there. He's traveling. He's working with the team in pregame. I mean, unlike Michael Thompson, who we've never seen in an OU uniform fully dressed out.
I definitely think if something were to happen and somebody got hurt, it would be Stacey Wilkins. I mean, wouldn't it? If something happened to Proctor
I'd
on
rather
Saturday?
be him than Bill Beatonbow.
I also threw my name out there. I told him that I'm worried about my cardio, though. I don't think that would. I don't think that would work out for him. He can do that. He's a big guy like me. So
Bill said flat out he wouldn't play Eddie.
Yeah, he did, but it's okay. I understand that. That's from a schematic standpoint. I understand what he's doing.
Have you sent your tape in, Eddie? I mean, did you show him your high school stuff?
I mean, I should. Maybe I will next week, or maybe I will during the bye.
Take a framed picture with you, and if they win, show it to him after the game.
Oh, I got a picture.
You got the Rivals 5-star when you.
No, I mean
it would be it
would be so much better if you took a framed photo.
I don't have any framed photos.
I know your mom probably does. You're Catholic. Catholics
Does
have
anybody
frame photos everywhere.
Eddie, for some reason, I know what number you were in high school. I don't know why. I have a picture in my head.
He will show his picture anytime you ask him.
It's 64, right?
Right. I don't know how you knew that. That's weird.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure I know this. I'm sure it's exactly for what Carey just said, that I've seen the picture. But I was like, I have some memory of this for some reason. I don't know where that's coming from.
Would they not let you have 69?
Would you with that guy? I wouldn't.
How much bigger are those shoulder pads than what you actually need?
Well, I mean, state semifinalist, this is what it is.
You got to bring it.
And look at that. That's a badass. That's a badass pick is what it is right there.
He really is. Like he's feeling himself right now.
Man, no, pretty good. I did want to ask, and he would never say it. I don't think publicly, but kind of what you were talking about, Josh, from a schematic standpoint. I mean, technically, Bill Beatembo is the run game coordinator, isn't he?
Yes.
I wonder what they can do to almost alleviate the pressure that's going to come from the edge, because they're going to be. I mean, we saw it a little bit last week against Kansas. This is an offensive line that is, I guess, developing. Is that probably the right way to say it? Decent inside, still developing on the outside.
Isn't
very incomplete, I guess.
Isn't Texas kind of where Oklahoma was last year in that they don't have really any elite edge rushers?
Well, I mean, other than, like I said, you'd say Osai.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's
Osai's
that
on the
guy.
verge. Yeah.
But
You say
yeah, I mean,
Osai, I say hello.
Wow, that's terrible. Eddie, you're better than that.
Hello.
Jesus Christ. When it's
Lord and
Osai and I've offended some folks now. But the other guy that sticks out in their front to me is Malcolm Roach. But he's a very different kind of guy, and actually, to me, he kind of plays to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be in trouble outside when you're talking about speed edge rushers. Like if they were playing the other opponent I'm watching with Caleb Von Shashan at LSU, that's a nightmare. That's a real problem for Oklahoma. But Roach is a big, powerful guy because they run that three-man front, so they're kind of like Oklahoma's guys. But I don't think there's anybody in that front three that's like Redmond or Perkins from an athletic standpoint. But they're big, powerful, kind of point-of-attack guys other than Osai, who kind of works like John Michael Terry.
Well, what more can you do except keep Sermon and Hall as protection guys and only have like two receivers out on routes at times?
And
I think you'll – oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, and I mean, Lincoln Riley is not afraid to put, two H-backs on the field at the same time. He's run that formation a lot this year.
Oh, you saw a lot of it against Kansas. You saw more Braden Willis than we'd seen at any point in the year. You saw Jeremiah Hall a lot. I mean, and you also you're starting to see more and more of that two-back set with Stevenson and Sermon. So there's stuff you can do. I mean, like you can take a page that Oklahoma's been using and something that Texas does a lot with that quarterback draw, that lead play where you're just going to let those rushers come up field, and then you've got Creed Humphrey and Marquise Hayes. Let them be your wedge, create a hole, and you may not bust it big, but you can pick up 5 or 6 yards, and then you force Texas to stop attacking so hard off the corners because they're just running those guys right out of the play.
You know what I remember about that 2015 game is when Baker was running around and getting sacked, and it was like that was such a different Lincoln then versus now. Like we were all like, and I think even Lincoln was asked about it after the game, like he did not put an extra running back or a fullback in the game to kind of help chip off the edge. Like he just didn't believe in doing that then. Like to see where he's come now compared to that Lincoln Riley, it's amazing.
It's almost like, and we've talked about it before, but the fullback or the H-back, whatever you want to call it, is kind of the straw that mixes the drink for Oklahoma in a way. What are you laughing about, asshole?
For some reason, that struck me as funny.
It was funny. I didn't mean to say it like that. But we've talked about how important that position is. It's almost like that game opened his eyes to it.
Well, Dimitri Flowers became a star for their offense.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like ever since then, he's totally 100%, 150% behind an H-back.
Is that package the most important piece of Oklahoma's offense going into it?
I mean, it depends on how it goes. I mean,
like think about how many big plays a fullback or the H-back has made in the OU Texas game. Going back to, Trey Millard obviously had the big game with the jump, the hurdle.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends. Like, this is what's fascinating to me is you have Lincoln Riley, not just one of college football's greatest minds, but if you believe everyone who talks about him, one of the greatest, great college or great football minds in the country. Like, how much of an edge does he have now that he's faced Todd Orlando? What is this the 4th time he's faced Todd Orlando or 3rd?
It'd be
it's Houston.
Are you counting Houston?
Yeah, forget about that.
Or just Texas?
So it'd be the 4th, right?
Yeah.
Houston, Texas, and then Texas twice last year.
So it's like, I mean, what kind of a chess match is that going to be? Like, is Lincoln? Is he going to? I think that's the question. Like, does he go heavy? Is he go 5 wide? Does he go? I mean, like Jalen Hurts last week when they went tempo, he was so good.
Good.
Like, and he's getting, if he's finding that he's very comfortable, maybe he goes four wide and goes tempo to start the game. I mean, there's so many things he could do, but I think it's really what does Todd Orlando do and how does Lincoln Riley react to that?
It's a very minor point, but they don't have to worry about the heat and stuff like that. They want to go tempo.
Sure.
Go tempo. It's not going to be 90 degrees out there.
Josh, I'm interested to see like what the bigger matchup is as far as kind of what we just talked about in Texas defensive line versus a Oklahoma offensive line that's still developing or whatever you want to call it, or is it the Oklahoma wide receivers versus a secondary group that is kind of where Oklahoma is offensively with their line situation as far as they got guys injured, very banged up, very vulnerable and open for the taking. And we talked to CeeDee Lamb about it yesterday, just in the fact that like this is the type of game if CeeDee, we're not calling him out by any means because the last time he did, he shoved it down our throat.
Do it.
He had a huge day, but it seems like this is the type of game that he could go out and he could have a 220 3-touchdown type performance,
or maybe Jaden Hazelwood.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's out there. Somebody's out there for the taking.
Guess what? If somebody does a prediction this week, he's going to predict this will be Jaden Hazelwood's breakout game. Because I've just determined every one of my predictions is going to feature Jaden Hazelwood having his breakout game.
And then when it takes 4 weeks, he's going to be like, I told you. Exactly. But no, I would be more concerned. And that's the thing. Like, we talk about this conversation. I think it's more of a concern about what Oklahoma is than thinking Texas is great up front. They're not. I mean, it's a good group. It's a solid group. There's nothing wrong with their front seven, but they're not special or anything. When you talk about Oklahoma's receiving core, there's some special players in that group. CeeDee Lamb's a first-round pick. Jaden Hazelwood's projecting in that same kind of direction. You look at Grant Calcaterra and his usefulness if they ever can find a way to get him incorporated. I mean, there are a lot of guys that you're Charleston Rambo, we haven't even brought up, who was asleep last week, but is a guy that's made big plays in every other game this season. Texas is in the secondary is just beaten. I mean, it's bad, and there are some good players. B.J. Foster's outstanding, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to excel if Oklahoma's throwing the ball 40 times. That's not his game. That's not where he's at his best. So it's a little tough to see how Texas consistently comes up with stops if Oklahoma's offensive line can just be okay. As long as they're not getting run over, which I don't see happening. Like I said, Texas is not that good. So if you're just talking about where is the edge bigger, I don't think it's any question the edge between OU's wide receivers and DBs is much larger than the other.
I think there's one player that Lincoln Riley would love to have a big day more than any other player on his roster. I'll tell you who that is. But first, I want to ask you guys, you're going down to Texas. You want to rip out that credit card, pay for your coupons, your coupons. What do you want to have? What do you want that credit card to have on? You want it to have a big OU logo. And you can do that through Midfirst Bank. Midfirst Bank is our title sponsor for the Unofficial 40 podcast, and they have a special offer for you. If you go to midfirst.com let me start that over. Midfirst.com/U40, U40, midfirst.com/U40. You can apply for the OU Rewards credit card. They are proud to be the exclusive provider of the OU credit card. And if you apply today, you can register for a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. And then every qualifying purchase you make with the OU Rewards credit card earns you a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. That includes VIP tickets to a football game, plus $500. So you get 0% for the first year, and then after the introductory 0% APR, then your purchase balance transfer will be used, and you'll get between 15.99 and 21.99 APR, depending on your credit rating. So go and apply today for the official currency of OU and deepen your Sooner pride with every purchase. That's midfirst.com/U40, U40. Go check it out. All right. The guy that I think Lincoln would love to have a banner day Saturday, Rhamondre Stevenson. just because Texas would have loved to have him. So, I mean, it'd be the ultimate way to rub it in Tom Herman's
Texas
face.
needed him.
Yes.
I mean, with Keontae Ingram being hurt and really not that good even when he's there, and Rashawn Johnson just kind of being a makeshift guy for now.
I mean, they're running jet
Stevenson.
sweeps to DuVernay all the time. I mean, they're trying to get him involved in the run game. Like, it's bad when, you didn't get a guy, but when you clearly needed the guy more than the team that he went to, I mean, that's real
and made the
embarrassing.
effort.
Yeah.
Like when you said, please don't sign December, come in January, wait it out, and he doesn't do that.
And there's a good chance he could have a big game.
I think it's very intriguing as far as how these carries are going to start getting split up as they start moving forward, because you have a guy in Kennedy Brooks that obviously I think he'll play this weekend. He didn't travel to Lawrence last weekend. I think that was more of a precautionary thing after the cheap hit against Tech. But like, who's the odd man out? Because Hurts is going to get his fair share of carries.
It's a
Stevenson
let me get hot situation.
Yeah, it really is. Like, Stevenson has basically kind of proved to me, and I think, Josh, you've been kind of carrying this banner for a while, he might be the best running back Oklahoma has on the roster. And that's not a slight to Trey Sermon or Kennedy Brooks.
I think
or
they're all
hell,
three
TJ
NFL
Pledger
guys.
For that matter.
That hasn't gotten any run, but he looked pretty good against Kansas. He had a few runs. You were like, wow, he looked a little lighter to me. And it was so late. You don't want to make too much out of it, but it looked good for what it was. But no, I've been, since I saw him, his tape, I guess probably about last October was when Oklahoma really got serious with him. I thought, man, this is a guy he's pretty impressive, and he really was a guy that, the thing that I'm surprised about him when I watch him now is his ability to break big runs. I thought he was going to be maybe a half step slower kind of Trey Sermon type of player, but I'm not sure he doesn't beat Trey Sermon in a foot race. Now it's again, he keeps coming in late, just like we saw with Trey Sermon when he was a freshman. You would see him come in and it looked really good, but you're like, man, that defense is tired. He's kind of beaten up on a group. So I want to see Stevenson get some earlier carries so we can really get a gauge for it. But I think just from a physical skill set and physical talent, I think he's Oklahoma's most talented runner right now.
There's two things for those running backs. One, they got to do, they're going to have to block, and the one thing they can't do is fumble, because right away that's going to be it. That's how you wonder who's the odd man out. First person that drops it will be the odd man out.
Abdul Adams is somewhere in New York nodding his head to Bob.
It's incredible. It's kind of like everything when you talk about this offense. There's so many superlatives to use, but it is incredible to me how good OU's been about taking care of the football on the offensive side of the ball. And I know that there's a lot of people that think it's like talking about a no-hitter, not supposed to do it, but they just don't fumble the ball. And for the most part, they don't turn the ball over that much.
Yeah.
From the quarterback position either. Except in this game last year, and that's why they dug themselves a hole.
Guys, what I think is pretty interesting, and I've brought up this ranking before because I think it's a good way to gauge things that are, like you can't just say total defense for Texas versus total defense for Oklahoma, because you have to consider the opponents they've played. But we were talking earlier about Texas's defense, and I think this may be the first year when Oklahoma has a better defense than Texas in I don't know how long. I mean, it's been, and some of that is Texas's injuries, but you look at the S&P Plus, Oklahoma is ranked 36th in the country in defense, which is miles ahead of where they've been. Texas is 66. That's a huge gulf, and like I said, it doesn't tell you what's going to happen, but it tells you that this defense is not just like, okay, it looks good, or they're fast, or they're running the ball. They're being efficient. They're doing things. They're getting off the field on third down, which we know. But you're just seeing the thing that I notice more than anything, in the red zone, it's getting tougher and tougher for teams to make plays against Oklahoma, where last year it was just a freebie.
How do you mean?
Well, like you're seeing teams are having, whether they score or not, it's not. We brought up the play a couple weeks ago against Texas Tech after the injury that Eddie was just talking about. Last year, Texas Tech just walks in after that play. I'm sorry, not after the injury. After the long run up the sideline when there was the hold against Texas
you're
Tech.
saying teams are having a harder time scoring against Oklahoma. Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was talking about the defense, not the offense. The defense is just cleaner in the things they're doing. And like I said, I think there is this, and Todd Orlando deserves it to a degree, but there's always this conversation about, his defenses are so great. Even in the story Sam Spiegelman wrote today, one of the kids in the Houston area was talking about how superb the Texas defense is. They're like 100th in total defense. What are you watching that tells you they're superb in anything? And it's not that Oklahoma's gangbusters, but so far you look at these two teams, and I would give Oklahoma's defense the edge right now.
It's a very, fan opinionated thing to say that Oklahoma's defense doesn't look any better. I mean, that's a total Longhorn clinging on to, they've sucked for a long time. They still probably suck. They've gotten better. Like you said, it's not gangbusters, but it's a noticeable difference.
Sure. And on the flip, for an Oklahoma fan, Sam Ehlinger is a better passer than you've seen him be. That guy made some throws against LSU that I've never seen him make before.
And I'll say this, too. OU's defense, last week was really the first time they've given up anything in the passing game. The only real knock on OU's defense so far is they've lost the edge on some run plays against quite a few teams. And that's really the only thing. And I think, that's probably a lot of times it's young guys like Jalen Redmond, or it's because Buki's out there. That's why they started David Agwebu in the last game, is because they need someone to set the edge when, against the run, against in earlier downs.
It was little.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say that it was little Jordan Humphrey last year, but it seems like that tight end position has always been a big killer for OU. Texas has used the tight end position.
I love the Brewer kid
as a big killer. He had the big catch against Oklahoma State. It looks like he's going to be able to play this weekend. And I saw,
is it Danny Davis or somebody?
I was going to say Amor, but I couldn't think of his name. But anyways, looks like he's going to play. He practiced yesterday, so I think that's going to be interesting because you don't necessarily want it'd be Buki, right? Or whoever the nickelback is matching up on K. Brewer, and I don't know if I like that matchup if I'm Oklahoma.
Well, you could have Devin Duvernay in the slot against Buki.
I don't like my options, Bob. I don't like these options.
So it'll be
Jesus.
We know it won't be Chance Sylvie.
No, I did think it was interesting that Alex Grinch kind of confirmed what we said on the postgame pod Monday afternoon. As far as I think they were pretty happy overall with how they played against Kansas. It was just that late fourth quarter, you give up 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden, 45-7 looks a little bit worse than it really was. 45-20 looks a little bit worse than what it really was. 45-7, 45-13, I think you could have got out of there. And even 52-13 or something like that, I think everybody kind of backs off and almost gives them a free pass, if you will.
Here's the way I think it's easiest to describe the improvement in the defense this year is that, okay, they play really well. They'll give up a big play, but it never has snowballed on them. They might give up a 30-yard run, but then they come back and they get a team into 3rd and 9, and then they get them off the field. But you rarely see, you saw a 98-yard drive by Kansas to take that 7-0 lead, and you're just like, wow, I haven't seen much of that this year. It's just they play, solid, 90% of the time.
Yeah, and then it didn't happen again. And I brought up Motley because he had the pass interference on the very first possession.
That was a horrible play by him. I was just lazy and weird.
And then he played well the rest of the game. And he mentioned how that's just a change in his mindset. And he said when he got to the sideline, it was actually Roy Manning that really got through to him. You did everything right. Turn your head. Get your eyes to there. Stop. You don't have to stop being physical. Just turn your eyes, and you've got that.
I gave him a pretty decent grade in the report card, and everybody's like, what are you talking about? He was terrible.
Just one play.
And so I go back and I'm watching for the idiot, and I'm like, he wasn't terrible at all. They completed a couple throws on him, but Carter Stanley, a couple of those throws were bang. I don't know what you do about those. They're over the shoulder, beautiful throws hitting his receivers in stride.
The Robert Barnes was bad. He wasn't within 8 yards of the guy when he caught the ball.
Yeah. So I mean,
you got to press him. Don't let him get off the line.
There you go.
You know, so I just didn't understand, and it's funny, man. I'm still not used to this role of being a Parnell Motley defender. It's a weird thing. Like, I start to type something mean, and then I'm like, no, that's not right. Like, it happens.
You forced me to go in the other direction because I gave him a stock down in the postgame.
I know you did. I heard it, and I yelled. I yelled at my radio. I was very upset.
By the way, Bob can't eat anything anymmore, really, or his stomach will revolt and try and kill him. But when you could eat anything, what would you get at the fair?
I've never eaten one thing at the fair ever.
Like in your life?
Yes, correct.
At any fair? Or like as a kid, you ate a funnel cake?
I like funnel cake. I've never had it at the fair.
Okay.
I'm
straight.
He's like the kid whose parents wouldn't let him listen to music when he was growing up.
Especially rap.
Did you escape from the Amish community?
Bob's room was full of like glass figurines.
I don't think I've had.
And they were either rabbits or clowns.
It's been a couple years since I've had a corn dog. I usually always stop and have a beer at least, even if I just chug it before I'm walking out. I gotta have one.
Yeah,
but
that cold beer in the wax cup.
Oh, it's amazing,
divine.
Yes, that's what gets me down there every year. That in the game.
I think that I'm going to tell you this. I think the Fletcher's corny dog is overrated.
I think corn dogs in general are overrated.
Right. I think they're terrible.
Agreed.
I've never won, and I think the Fletcher's corn dog is the only one I've ever really had, but I've never just bit into one and been like, oh, this is great.
To me, the
breaded hot dog.
To me, the
hot dog.
The batter is it's a little dry.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough. I don't think I have knowledge and history of a corn dog to know.
I've just never had a hot dog and thought, you know what, this needs more breading. Like this needs more breading around it. Like, I don't understand that concept.
Yeah, usually when you have
harder to get to.
Usually when you have a hot dog, it's like, I guess have a hot dog. It's the only thing around.
Like
you're at the ballpark and you have a hot dog.
You give me the choice between a corn dog and just grilling a hot dog in my backyard. I take the backyard hot dog every day.
Yep.
I don't think it's even. I don't even think that. The psycho out there is the person that would take the corn dog instead of a grilled hot dog.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Agree.
The real psycho is the guy who grills the corn dog.
Do people do that?
I'm sure. I'm sure there's some psychopath.
I bet the only place
people come out.
The only place they do that, I bet, or I would imagine, is somewhere in Iraq, and that is basically a trademark of ISIS.
I've had the turkey leg. I love the turkey leg, but I have to follow the golden rule, which is fat people cannot walk around with turkey legs.
I put it out there on the board. We were having a discussion about fair food, and just not a fan of a turkey leg. Like, I liked it. If you
juicy, it's smoky.
This might kind of sound GHEY, but like if you just cut all the turkey off the turkey leg and put it in like a bowl, I put some barbecue sauce on it. It sounds amazing.
Fantastic, yeah.
I don't like biting into it though. Just like and holding it.
Well, you like boneless wings, so that makes a lot of sense.
True, that's true.
Which those are just nuggets.
I mean,
they are.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I think they're delicious.
I'm not the person that fights that war. Like, I'll eat bone in, I'll eat boneless. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh yeah,
I don't care
don't get me wrong. I will eat bone in, but if I had a preference, I'd probably go boneless. It depends where I'm at. Some places don't have very good boneless.
If I'm with my children, I'm eating boneless because I need my hands clean to deal with their shit. But if I'm all alone, I'm gonna eat bone in. So
for sure.
Well,
that's the lay.
We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. Ticket prices for this thing, it's not pretty, and we've kind of been telling you, go download the SeatGeek app. I'm actually pulling it up right now, easy to get to. And usually, if you've downloaded it, like I'm opening it up right now, it'll probably show me OU Texas immediately, and that way I can get to it, quickly. So, there it is. So I'm just looking to see exactly how bad this thing is. But yeah, starting tickets for $401. That's the first price I saw.
That's incredible.
And look, I understand, you want to try and get the best deal, but SeatGeek actually they're searching millions of sites to bring you these tickets. They pull them all together in one place. They rate each deal on a scale of 1 to 10. So even though you might be paying a buttload, here's 306. It comes up as a great deal, and that's Upper Deck. I mean, that's on the Texas side, Upper Deck, but it's considered a great deal. So you're going to get raped over this thing. Let's just face it. You're going to, well, in terms of ticket prices.
Yikes.
Financially raped. So
wear your pink shirt this weekend, Carey. Make up for that one.
So yeah, okay.
That's insensitive.
So at least you're getting getting it in the best way possible. So I know this isn't a whole lot to offer if you're paying $300 for a ticket, but if you use the promo code SCOOP, you get $10 off. So every little bit helps. That'll pay for a wax beer at least, or a beer.
Exactly.
And a wax cup.
You can go have the fair food that Bob is not going to eat anyway.
Yeah, there'd be plenty out there.
So go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. As I said, it's all guaranteed. Got it on my phone. It's by far the fastest and the easiest way to find tickets. And I've used it to buy tickets to games for friends just because, sometimes people are at games and you're just like, I'm just going to stay at the tailgate. And I'm like, F that, dude. Here, get a ticket. Because I don't have to buy tickets, so I feel like I need to buy tickets for other people sometimes. So sometimes I use a SeatGeek app for that. So anyway, download the app, use the promo code SCOOP, and you get $10 off your first purchase. So thanks to SeatGeek.
Have we decided, is this the biggest OU Texas game played at the Cotton Bowl since, well, you were saying
2011 was 3 versus 11, but I don't think people were as jazzed up like they are about this.
And what was that, 55-17, the final?
Yeah, it's a beatdown. So no one ever talks about it now because it was so bad.
I don't know if it...
2008.
I don't know if it ever left, but it certainly does feel like the rivalry is back, if you will. Doesn't it? I mean, the last couple years, it's just been so weird because...
Oh, it's definitely back. Sam Ehlinger,
like
Kyler Murray,
definitely feels like
midfield.
everything is back.
Yeah, it's
to
not,
what it
it's
used
not
to
Texas playing as spoiler. It's Texas playing for national championship hopes.
Breckenhager. I mean, Big 12. The fact they played in the Big 12 championship, and then Texas did the we're back, and I mean, like OU wants to beat them. I mean, not even that, but horns up for peace. I mean, that alone has added so much to this rivalry. The fact that the Big 12 has legislated that somehow horns down.
I think the funny thing is with all of this, though, is
middle finger.
I don't think there's any Texas fans that even feel like
they don't want it either.
Like everybody's on the same side on this.
Yes,
it's incredible to me that everything. Well,
Sam Ehlinger and Tom Herman.
Yes,
I don't even know if Sam Ehlinger feels like that. I think it's only one person. It's the biggest douchebag in the world.
Tom Herman.
Your trunk says differently, Eddie.
By what?
The sign in your trunk says differently.
Oh, my trunk. I didn't know what you said. I thought you said Trump, and I was like, well.
Which is ironic because Tom Herman's just a mercenary. I mean, he's not about Texas. He's just getting paid a whole lot of money to coach there.
Is he, though? I mean, he's a graduate of Texas.
Yeah, he's a big Texas.
I think he's Texas through and through, isn't he? Like, ultimately, if he were to get fired, I think that would crush him. I think that would ruin his life, and that's what I want.
That's all we strive for. That's what we're aiming for.
I need to tweet at Michelle this week. That's what I need to do.
You're probably blocked.
Oh,
or that'll get you blocked.
No, only true losers block me.
And blow 21-point leads in the fourth quarter.
Well, I wasn't going to bring him up, but if you want to bring him up, Josh, I thought we had him right where we wanted him this weekend. SMU undefeated. We're up 30-9, and we lose the game. Talking about Tulsa.
I know you are, Eddie, and I knew you were kind of living and dying with your boys there.
I had a lot of fun watching that on the way back with the crew from Lawrence this weekend. Bob and I were watching the entire thing. It was quite the performance. Shane Buechele's a pretty damn good little quarterback.
He is.
He's better than I would think I was ready to give him credit
Just like
for.
Garrett Gilbert was a pretty good quarterback.
Just might not be a Power 5 quarterback, but good.
When that was happening, I was like, oh, this gives some credit to my argument that maybe TCU is better than we thought. And then I was like, oh God, TCU and Ames, that's ugly. I don't know what that TCU team is. I have no understanding of who they are and what they are. I don't get it. I don't know.
I don't
understand
know
how
who
a Gary
Tech is. I don't
Patterson
know
team
who
can be that
OSU
bad.
is. Like, who do you know about in this conference?
I think Iowa State's okay.
You could say Baylor, but
You think they're gonna be okay? You mean?
Yeah,
Like everything's gonna kind of.
I think Iowa State might be like a 9-3 team. Like they're okay.
That'd be very Iowa State of them.
Are they third or is Baylor third?
Well, I mean, I gotta.
Baylor already
for
beat
no
'em.
other reason, then I got to stick with mine. Baylor's got a game in hand. They've got the win, and I was all in on Baylor in the preseason, so I'm just going to ride it until it burns.
That's kind of a slightly interesting game this weekend, just as far as Tech coming off of what I would call a pretty big win over Oklahoma State over the weekend. They go to Waco this weekend. I think that they're a 9.5, 10-point underdog, but like if Baylor is the team that I kind of think they are, you kind of think they are, Josh, I think that's a game that they win by 2 touchdowns and kind of going away even. Don't you think?
I think, yeah, I really do. I mean, that for whatever reason, and everybody has that game. I mean, we all know just going to Lubbock in general is tough. It's tougher than people outside the Big 12 realize it is. But that's always been a problem for Oklahoma State. I mean, dating back to Les Miles' era.
It happens once a year.
Yep,
once a year it happens that they just no-show.
Yep, and so I don't know why that's been such an issue, but I don't take a lot away from that game. I still think at the end of the day, all things equal, Oklahoma State's probably the third best team in the league. But now they've got a couple games down. I mean, they're already in some trouble. They lost a game they shouldn't have. Iowa State and Baylor have a very real argument to finish in front of them, and I don't think – I mean, Jet Duffy is – I mean, I guess he has his moments, but we'll have to see. I'm not ready to buy in and think, okay, they've turned the corner now.
He's a guy that you just can't trust to go win a road game, I think.
Yep.
I think that's probably safe to say.
Yep.
And he's a guy that's as likely to throw 400 yards as he is to throw 5 interceptions.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's about an even. That's probably an even money prop bet you could get this week, Bob.
I think Baylor's defense is pretty damn good from what I've seen.
They're leading the conference in sacks. I didn't realize they're way out in front, like 18 or 19 sacks, and I think OU's got like 12 or 13, and OU's been good in good pressure all year. So I mean that kind of tells you where they are.
Still think that Stillwater might be a little bit tougher than Waco, but I think that Baylor game is definitely
Sanders going to get better by the time OU plays them too.
Depending on what happens next weekend with Baylor traveling up to Stillwater.
Correct.
The winner of that game, that's going to be a big game. And they're both going to be big, but I think one will probably be bigger than the other. Just from a conference standings.
And I think Baylor ends with OU and Texas, so they could potentially be undefeated in terms of like the schedule that they should beat every team they play if they can get past the Cowboys.
Spencer Sanders is that guy that gives me more respect for what Lincoln Riley does. Like even if like we already all do kind of just bow down to what he's done at quarterback, because Spencer Sanders will have that moment where you're like, wow, he's special. He's really good. And then 5 seconds later, you're like, what was he doing there? And he just does things that you don't see Oklahoma quarterbacks do. And I know Jalen Hurts has started for a long time, and Baker Mayfield, you can go down the list, but you just don't see Oklahoma guys do the things that you see at all these other schools, and it just warps your perception. Like, well, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, he is. He's a freshman. He's supposed to do that stuff. But it's crazy how refined our opinion has become just because these guys are so sharp at such an early stage.
Well, it's like Kyler Murray had played either 3 or 4 games at Texas A&M, started 1, I think. And then his first year starting was at Oklahoma, a full season. And, like, you remember the Tech game, he throws those 2 interceptions, and you're like, who the hell is this guy playing? Like, Kyler Murray doesn't play like this. And we never really saw that again from him.
Was it Stearns that made the interception in midfield, or not midfield, but yeah, I guess it was midfield.
Yeah, around there.
That was just a poorly put ball. Yeah, but it was also a pretty good play.
Lee Morris, I think.
Was that that little pop pass over the middle?
Has anybody asked what happened to Lee Morris? Why is he just not involved anymore?
That position hasn't been seen very much.
In Calcaterra, I mean, Lee Morris has made some catches recently.
And they're getting the snaps. I know a lot of people, because they don't make plays or wondering if they're even in the game. They're in the game.
Sometimes on TV tape you can't see.
I mean, they are. They're getting the snap counts.
Yeah, it might be as simple as there's sometimes when Kyler or Baker would sit in there and try and force something to him, Jalen's just kind of taking the ball down and run with it. I mean, is it as simple as that?
I think it's safe to say this. Jalen Hurts has been taught for a long time not to throw into traffic. And when you're throwing to your tight ends, you're usually throwing into traffic. It's just like that screen he should have got pick sixed on against Kansas. Like, he just didn't see that guy. So I think there might be, there might be some issues with him throwing the ball down the middle, recognizing safety, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, because he didn't throw when CeeDee Lamb had over the top help that entire UCLA game, they didn't try and force it in there. And then he tries to force that one to Sermon, and it gets picked. I mean, that was a crazy pick.
But yeah. And you had Sermon and Rambo running right next to each other. That was just a weird play design.
Any questions as far as, I don't want to say the game's going to be too big, because obviously he's played in the Iron Bowl. He told us that on Saturday, but this is the biggest game Jalen Hurts played at Oklahoma. I'm fairly interested to see just how he performs. There's a lot of pressure on this game.
Here's the thing that I think no one brings up, and no one, he wouldn't address it anyway, but yes, Jalen Hurts has been involved in big games. As, asked to be a certain type of player, which is a guy that has a great defense, that doesn't make any mistakes on offense, that doesn't take a lot of chances. Like, now he's in a big game, though, and he has the ball in his head. He is determining the offense. Like, he is throwing the ball a lot. He is taking more opportunities than he ever has to make a mistake. To make plays, yes, but also to make a mistake. So, I think it's a legitimate question. How does he handle that? Because he hasn't been in that position in a big game before.
You look at games in, the past 5 years or 4 years, Baker Mayfield made a lot of big-ass plays in this game. The touchdown to Mark Andrews,
Kyler
obviously.
Murray did too.
Kyler Murray, the run down the sidelines last year. And to an extent, the throw to Grant Calcaterra in the Big 12 championship game. Probably a better catch than a throw. But
he had 2 touchdowns to Calcaterra in that game, right?
Yep.
And then he had a great throw to CeeDee Lamb in the touchdown.
Yep. First one's forgotten about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. I'm excited to see, just for the fact that, I'm kind of with the fan base on this. I really don't know how good this team is. I think they might be pretty good, but
are they a playoff team?
Yeah, I think that they could be a playoff team. Can this team win a national championship? I don't know if we'll answer that question this weekend, but I do think that, a national championship team goes out and wins this game. They go out and cover.
Yeah.
And this is Ellinger's third start in this game. It's a convoluted stat. It's hard to even describe the stat. It's 2-14-1 if you're a first-time starter going against someone who has started previously. So it's not like first-time starter versus first-time starter.
Sure.
That doesn't count.
And that's always been kind of played up in this game, is that the first-time starter having
Baker,
kind of a disadvantage.
2015, 24-17, that's the one Lincoln says they didn't play well. Kyler had the 2 turnovers before he turned it on. I know Jalen Hurts is a grad transfer and all that. This is his first game. This is Sam's third. Not saying it's going to mean anything, but it'd be interesting if it's Jalen Hurts that can buck that trend.
Well, Bradford won a Heisman and lost that game as a sophomore.
Yep.
Well, Brandon Crow lost that game. Sam didn't.
He won that game in 2007, though, didn't he?
Correct.
As a freshman?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's one of them. That's one of the 2. It's Justin Fuente and Bradford that
lost after winning.
That won.
Oh, as
first time when it was Colt McCoy's second time.
Fuente was the year that James Allen had the overtime run, I think.
Yes.
Where he ran over like Stoney. What was that guy's name?
Oh yeah, I know you're talking
that
about.
That was against James Brown.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was like 95, 96, something right in there.
Stoney.
Wow, random flash of memory.
It's a fun game. I know we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast. On the post game, but just to be in the stadium and feel the momentum shifts is like you
get the atmosphere so much more than we do, because that is the most vacuumous press box.
No, it is for
anywhere.
sure.
Like you can't hear a thing.
Yeah, I think it's the coolest experience possible to be down on the field.
Of course, I grew up going to that game, so I know what it's like.
I think I went down last year before Kyler's run, and after Kyler's run, that is the first time I've really felt OU Texas.
It's crazy. It's even better when you get in that situation, because I think last year OU fans started funneling out, and then they kind of funneled back in. But I was really impressed last year. It didn't seem like it never really cleared out with OU fans as bad as it got.
No, because they just kind of didn't Texas score right at the end of the third quarter to go up 21. So it was, and OU would just score so quickly. Like that entire fourth quarter was just, it was unbelievable. It was insane to think that OU got back in that game and even had a chance at winning it.
Yeah. All right, well, it's time for another one. We're looking forward to covering it. Now, a little quick, let's just go over, Texas is the host for this game. And recruiting, we were talking about this on the way back, like people always, people that are in the media or people on radio, they're always like, wow, what a big recruiting weekend. I was like, well, not really. It's not like what it used to be. I mean, like, Josh, these guys really now they just get a game ticket, and that's pretty much all the recruiting you get to do, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they can't have any contact with the home school. They can't have any contact with the away school. It's basically they go to will call, get their ticket, and then they go up to their seats. Now, the thing that what's interesting about it is whether Texas invites a kid or OU invites a kid, the game itself helps both. Because kids see this game all the time and think, oh, I wanted to play for Texas or I wanted to play for OU. But just the environment is like, I just want to play in this game. Like, I just want to be part of this. And so there's all kinds of guys who are like, man, I can't lie. When they came in the first half, they're kind of taking it all in. And then it gets that second half, and the guys come back down the tunnel, and they're like, man, I could see myself running down that tunnel and, doing all that and, having the fans go crazy on both sides and that kind of stuff. And guys just react to that. I mean, because you guys know, you were just talking about, there's so many unique aspects to this game, the state fair, the splitting them down the middle, like everything about the game is just very cool. And so you get a lot of that. But I do think a big part of this game not being what it used to be is OU and Texas don't go head to head as much as they used to. There's still some of that, but the real battles, Bob, you can attest, there's probably 5, 6, 7 guys per class where you're like, wow, it's really coming down to OU Texas here, and we'll see what happens. But it's not as often as it used to be because OU's gone so national, and Texas just doesn't have that in-state presence like they used to under Mac Brown.
And Josh, I used to laugh at people and say the winner of this game matters as to where that recruit is going, as like the way recruiting is. You talk to them as freshman and sophomore, one game doesn't matter. But I feel like with Joshua Eaton, for the first time in a long time, it actually might mean something.
There are those occasional guys. You look back, I know one of our reporting friends, I don't want to ruin his story, I'll let him put it out, but he talked to Carey about Adrian Peterson this week, and I spoke to him as well. That game was a big deal for Adrian Peterson. That really is what kind of started turning Oklahoma into a real threat with him. And same deal with Josh Eaton. I had a chance to go see him. We can go over my trips from last week a little bit. I went and saw him Friday night. And he didn't want to talk on the record, but I think off the record it was pretty clear that Oklahoma had really impressed him during his official visit for the Texas Tech weekend. I think, and it's a lot like what I heard from Bryson Washington when it seemed like Texas was a lock for Bryson Washington, and all of a sudden you started hearing, I think this is turning around. I think this is going in a different direction. He's talking about family a lot. Like, he just feels a real bond with that coaching staff, with Roy Manning and Alex Grinch and that whole group. And I think they just made him feel very comfortable. Now, it, of course, helps, as I've mentioned before, that Josh Eaton and Bryson Washington are good friends. So I think Oklahoma has a real chance here. I think this game, especially if the defense can come out and play well against Sam Ehlinger. I'm not saying they've got to hold him to 14 points, but just be respectable. Don't do anything worse than what LSU did, because every kid respects LSU. So if you can say, we were no worse than LSU on a neutral field, that's going to be fine. and Oklahoma can then sell Eaton on, we're making this progress. Look at what we're doing. And Texas has got all these DBs they've signed in the last few years. There's just a lot of ways Oklahoma can come at him. And I still get the impression that Texas is a little frustrated with that situation. And if Oklahoma can just kind of continue to keep the pressure up, that maybe he and Texas just part ways. And then Oklahoma's just right there to snatch him up.
You mentioned that. Where was the other trip?
And I also, on Thursday night, made the trip into SEC territory, and it looks very much like SoonerScoop will continue their trend in the Southeast of recruiting going really well whenever we go visit a guy. But I went and saw Edgerrin Cooper, Oklahoma's linebacker commitment from kind of the north side of New Orleans, Covington. And, he's a great player. I mean, it's not hard to figure out why Brian Odom identified him early as one of his earlier offers, went after him, brought him on campus. And, brought Cooper in a couple weeks ago for an official visit, and everything seemed to be going well until the day before I go, LSU offers him. And with me, he was very open, and he's talking, and then as soon as LSU and how that related to Oklahoma kind of came up, you could see him kind of clam up. Like, it was just like, I'm not comfortable with that conversation yet. And usually that's not a great sign. So we'll see what happens. I don't think Oklahoma is absolutely out of it, because I know there's some people in his family that think maybe him getting a little farther from home could be the best thing for him. We'll see if that can hold up, because there's just no question. LSU is a school he dreamed about playing for growing up, but Oklahoma has a lot of track record. That family likes Brian Odom. There's a lot of relationship there. So I know everybody wants to just say, well, this is done, this is decided, and I think in the end that's what happens. I do think there's more work to be done for LSU before it can happen.
Is it confusing that this feels like the first year the OU defense has earned the right to land top-tier kids, yet this is the year they're losing Dante Manning, Ryan Watts, maybe Edgerrin Cooper?
It's inexplicable. You
makes no
can't
sense.
wrap your head around it. Because not only are they having more success on the field, Roy Manning, Brian Odom, and Alex Grinch are better recruiters than the people they replace. Maybe Alex Grinch and Mike Stoops, you can have that conversation. Mike was a better recruiter than he ever got credit for. But, you look at it, and Roy Manning is a high energy. He's the exact kind of guy that players love, and he's just getting beaten over the head with he hasn't coached corners for that long. And people are just clubbing OU about that. Brian Odom, it's just a bad break. A lot of years, Edgerrin Cooper would not get that offer. He signs with Oklahoma, and they've got their guy. Now he's got to fight for him, plus he's got to find his backup plan, who that's going to be if Cooper does defect. So there's just a lot of things that are beyond Oklahoma's control. But, yeah, I mean, other years, Manning and Watts and Eaton would probably all be in the boat just based on how things have gone. And for some reason this year, Oklahoma's just kind of snake-bitten in spite of all reason that they shouldn't be.
What are you doing, Eddie? Why am I getting text about Eddie posting wedding photos?
What?
This is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no clue what's going on, Josh.
Are you like going after people for
wedding photos?
For using horns down in their wedding photos?
Oh no! Somebody tweeted me a picture. It said, "Even on a day intended for love, hate still finds a way." I retweeted it.
I just got a text from our boy Jared.
I said congrats, but also #disgusting.
I got this random text in the middle of the podcast from Jared, our boy, of his wedding photo, and he, Caleb, and Nathan, and Nacho are kind of giving the horns down.
It's a pretty good pick.
In a wedding photo. I'm sure his wife, Martha, is like, what the hell are they doing?
Oh, they had to retake the I'm sure they retook it, so the one that is being displayed in the household doesn't have the...
Oh, I bet, no, they would Jared would proudly display that.
Jared would, yes. I don't know if Martha would, though.
Hand gestures. Gateway gestures.
Gateway gestures.
I wouldn't condone speaking of gateway gestures, can we make sense of the fact that we have plenty of evidence that Oklahoma has told people not to throw the horns down, and then the school's official account?
Yeah.
Well, they're not the athletic. They're not the athletic department, though.
The
school can do whatever they want.
That's basically run by students. The OU account.
That was a glorious tweet, though.
It was pretty good. And
that was great.
You know what's even more funny is that sign that was on the seed sower. I think somebody really did take it down. Like, it's not there anymore.
Really?
Like, yesterday I tweeted a video of it.
It is not there.
It was odd that they put his Twitter handle on there.
I think that's just millennial sign making 101.
That's how you get in touch with someone.
I mean, at least put your Venmo on there.
Be careful, bro. That's how you get back.
Yeah, you don't want to get Carson King. I already had to scrub my Twitter.
He did. He said yesterday, he goes, I better go back and look at some of my Twitter to make sure if I'm going to be on ESPN Game Day.
Yeah, I don't want Des Moines Register writing a story about me. Those people.
Oh, you know
your
friend
right
in Des Moines already
happened.
Your friend in Des Moines already done that background check.
Oh yeah. Well, if she's
the
not
lover
dead,
of cheerleaders.
that old.
Was she from Des Moines? Because I
No,
picture
she's
her
from
to
Minnesota.
be a very small.
She's from
a
Minnesota.
Small town lady.
She's from Minnesota.
Okay.
I drive down every week from Minneapolis to see these cheerleaders. Well, guess what, lady?
Maybe she was responsible for the speeding ticket that I had to pay for you last time.
That doesn't make any sense.
I still think
I was
that
in
is
the car
under.
with them the whole time.
I still believe that is under review, under question. I think that I've been wronged by the state of Iowa.
You have been.
I think it was for celebrating a Cubs World Series victory in that state. That was my. That was like a extended debt paid.
That doesn't make any sense. They have the AAA franchise.
I think isn't that a Cubs state?
Yeah. They would only accept your celebrations. Anyway. All right, that's going to do it. I think our cell phones are going off so much that we have to answer them now. So, man, I've got the hiccups here at the end. So our time is up, but we're looking forward to OU Texas. Hoping you're looking forward to it too. Remember, if you need seats, go download that SeatGeek app. Use that code SCOOP for $10 off your first purchase. And sign up for that OU credit card from Midfirst Bank, midfirst.com/U40. And go get signed up for that now so you can show your OU pride every time you pay for something anywhere, especially in Texas. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Josh. Thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Bob. I'm Carey Murdoch. And we'll see you guys.
The pod will be Sunday. This is the 1 week you can guarantee the post-game pod is Sunday.
Can we? Okay, we're committed.
Always, because we do stuff with family and friends. Like
we might do it after in the press box. Which is still a possibility. So,
I think that would be. I think we get that done.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my goal. So
I like that.
Yeah, we should have something out Saturday night, unless they lose, and then we might just do it Sunday because we're pissed. All right, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you back next week for the unofficial 40. And for the Eskridge Lexus postgame pod, make sure you go subscribe, like, all that stuff, review. Love hearing your reviews on the podcast as well. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week after OU Texas right here on the Unofficial 40 podcast from SoonerScoop.com.